श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत राधा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय। यमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री रामचंद्र विजयोत्सव की जय। श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। All glories to the Samud devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Samud devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimati Bhakti Vikasa Swami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Papitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Napadan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Shra. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nityanamane Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnivari Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so today I'm speaking about Ramayana, right? Okay. Guess I'm speaking about Ramayana. I didn't prepare anything because nobody told me about this. So, but I have this document. There's a devotee. His name is Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu. Okay, well, there's blocking it in. Put it over here. So Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu was a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. It's okay, whatever. He is taking on the great task of translating the Sanskrit version of Valmiki Ramayana. This that we have here is this actually was compiled. The manuscript for this book was compiled by Purna Pragya Prabhu from a Hindi translation of Valmiki Ramayana, which he translated into English, the basic stories, which he was meant to use to teach the story of Ramayana to Gurukul boys in Mumbai. And then he gave the manuscript to Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. Bhakti Vikas Maharaj added commentary to it and published it as his own work, as his own presentation of Valmiki Ramayana. Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu is taking on the very amazing task following the instruction of Srila Prabhupada that other Vedic literature should be translated in the same format as he has translated the Srimad Bhagavatam, with Sanskrit text, word for word translation, and commentary based on the commentaries of previous acharyas. So he's doing this. I think he's made it to like the 7th canto now or something like that. The Ramayana is even larger than the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about 21,000 shlokas, whereas the Bhagavatam is about 18,000 shlokas. So this is a very big project. Next thing is for devotees to do this with the Mahabharata, which is 100,000 shlokas. So Krishna willing, maybe one day this will be available for devotees to study and read. But anyways, I have the pictures from this Valmiki Ramayana published by Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu. I snapped a few pictures from some of the pages where he is giving an analysis of the cardinal teachings of Valmiki Ramayana. Cardinal teaching means the primary teachings of Ramayana. So these cardinal teachings were originally written down by one, I don't know exactly if he's a disciple of Ramanuja, but one follower of Ramanujacharya, who has compiled these cardinal teachings of Valmiki Ramayana, and he claims that these are the teachings that Sri Ramanujacharya heard from his own guru, from one of his gurus, Shailapurna. Ramanujacharya had multiple gurus, but he claims that these are teachings that Ramanuja heard from one of his gurus and passed on to his disciples, and now he is presenting it. And Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu is presenting that in his English translation of the Valmiki Ramayana. So there are, how many? There are like 16 or 17 of these cardinal teachings. First of all, the author makes it a point that is very important to understand that the Valmiki Ramayana is Shastra. This is in the realm of Shastra. Therefore, everything compiled by Vedavyas is for the express purpose of ultimately coming to the conclusion of Vedanta. Vedaishcha sarve rahameva vedyaha. Vedanta vid veda. Vedanta vid veda vid. Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Everything is ultimately meant to come to the conclusion of understanding Krishna, which means becoming a devotee of Krishna. Therefore, this Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, must be for the same reason. It's understood. Naturally, it must be for the same reason. So all of these cardinal teachings of the Ramayana are ultimately meant as corollaries or parts to this central point that the Ramayana, the essence and the purpose, is to ultimately come to the platform of Bhagavad Bhakti. Very important point to understand. Although this was not compiled by Vyasadeva, and this is not considered to be one of the original 4 Vedas, nor is it considered to be an Upanishad, nor is it considered to be a Purana. Ramayana is known as an Itihasa, historical recount, poetic representation. This is written poetically, very beautifully, by one sage, Valmiki. But this is accepted as Shastra because of the conclusion, because of its purpose to come to this understanding. So, without further ado, we can start by We discussed this point that the Ramayana elucidates the Veda, and such it comes to the conclusion of Vedanta, which is devotional service to Krishna. Govindaraj backs this up with many scriptural references, and I won't, just for the sake of time, I won't get into all of that so much. But he specifically tells us that the Canto 1 of Ramayana reveals that Sri Vishnu is the cause of the appearance of this universe. He is the creator of the universe. Canto 2, that reveals that he is the cause of its maintenance. He is the maintainer. Canto 3 reveals that he is the giver of liberation, Mukunda. Canto 4 describes him as the possessor of the prosperity of all auspicious qualities, Bhagavan. Canto 5 describes him as the destroyer of all. Canto 6 describes him as knowable through the Upanishads. Canto 7 describes him as the cause of the creator of the universe. Thus it has been ascertained that Lord Vishnu in the form of Sri Rama is the supreme absolute truth. So we were discussing in the class right before this, many modern Hindus, they have misconceptions that Ramayana, books such as Ramayana, but specifically we're talking Ramayana, these are just allegorical stories, mythology. They give a good message. They teach us how to become good people in this world. They give a message of righteousness over evil. But ultimately, none of this is actually real. And there's no purpose of this higher than just establishing morality, moral principles, and also just telling a nice, beautiful story, which is very nice to hear. So therefore, we can make some TV serials, and we can do some dramas, and we can make some songs, and we can make some festivals, and we can enjoy more in this world. That's kind of the conclusion of modern day Hindu misconceptions about Ramayana. But here, very clearly, the purpose of Ramayana is to establish that Lord Sri Rama is Bhagavan. He is the supreme absolute truth, meaning that he is the creator of everything, he's the maintainer of everything, he's the giver of liberation, he's the destroyer of everything, he is the possessor of all opulences, he is knowable through the Upanishads, and yes, so he is the supreme absolute truth. So this is Bhagavan, Sri Ram. That is the first cardinal teaching, that the Ramayana is meant to understand that Lord Rama is the supreme absolute truth. Along with this understanding, naturally we understand that we should come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kamshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. So one who understands Brahman, the natural symptom is that he decides to perform bhakti, to perform service to God. Okay. Section 2 is describing is that another teaching of Ramayana is how can we come to this platform? What is the process by which we can come to the absolute truth? For this reason, Valmiki describes the process of surrender unto him. Sharanagati, Prapati, Atmanivedanam. There's many different words for these things. Sharanyam, anyways, many different words for these things. The Sri Vaishnavas generally refer to this as Prapati or, Prapati is probably very common. So this is another aspect, one of the cardinal teachings of Ramayana, the teachings of Sharanagati. This is also our teachings too. Any kind of bona fide spiritual process teaches the principle of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have this. How does this begin? Accepting what is favorable. What is this verse? Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyatiti vishwaso goptritve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidhi sharanagatihi. So this is given in Vaishnava Tantra, many different books that contains these teachings, like the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, for instance, teaching these sixfold aspects of Sharanagati. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has put Dhainya or Karpanya first, becoming humble, along with accepting what is favorable, rejecting what is unfavorable, um, uh, having faith that the Lord will protect us, relying only on the Lord for our maintenance. What am I missing? Atma, giving oneself in service to the Lord, giving one's very self. So this is the process of surrender given by our acharyas. And like I said, just because this is Shastra and because our acharyas are teaching Shastra, Govindaraj will teach the same thing. The same principles will be there. Nothing different you will find there. So it is teaching that surrender is the means to attain the absolute truth. Here he's giving these 6 principles that we have just discussed. Okay, now he gives several different instances in the Ramayana in which this teaching is very clear. Number 1, Sri Valmiki describes the Supreme Master and Lord as waiting for the opportunity to protect his surrendered devotees. This is before he has even appeared in this world. He's waiting. Ravana is already doing all of his nonsense in this world. He's causing many distresses for the demigods. The Lord is waiting for his devotees to come and approach him, to beg him to come and appear in this world to protect them. So he became very happy, thinking that very soon I will have the opportunity to protect my surrendered devotees who will approach me and ask for me to protect them. So therefore he appeared with all of his weapons. If you're interested in knowing about all of the weapons, you can hear the Vishnu Sahasranam. There's, especially towards the end of the Vishnu Sahasranama, different names of Krishna describing the weapons that he has, and Bhakti Vikas Maharaj talks about all of these different things. So this is the number 1, that even before he appeared, this principle of surrender was taught. And Bhagavan Sri Ram was simply waiting for his surrendered devotees to approach him. This is described by Valmiki. Next, the Devas, headed by Brahma and Rudra, surrendered to Lord Vishnu and begged him to award them the result of killing Ravana, practically exhibited by this pastime. We have assembled here along with the sages so that he may be killed. The Siddhas, Gandharvas, and Yakshas take shelter of you for this reason. This is a quote from Ramayana. Number 3, the sage Valmiki also describes how persons such as Trishanku and Shunashepa surrendered unto persons such as Vishwamitra. He does this to point out that A, the highest duty, dharma, is to award protection to the surrendered soul, and that B, if one surrenders unto a person who is fully capable of awarding the desired protection, and one who is compassionate upon the surrendered soul, such surrender will invariably lead to the desired success. So he teaches through the story of Trishanku and Shunashepa. Does anybody know Trishanku and Shunashepa? No? Have you heard these names? You've heard this story? Uh-huh. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes, you're right. Whenever we studied this in Atlanta maybe a year ago or something like that. Vishnu Chitta Prabhu asked me to, he didn't know who these personalities were, so I did some research. Let me see if I still have. I don't think I still have it. So yes, you're right. These are two examples. The second one is very similar. So this is Trishanku. Shunashepa is a very similar example of one who also submitted himself under the shelter of Vishwamitra, desiring something from him. I believe his uh, I can't remember the whole story, but it's very, very similar. Shunashepa was not qualified to perform yajna. Vishwamitra said that he would perform some sacrifice for his benefit. And then the Devatas were very unhappy seeing that they were bestowing benefit upon this person who was unqualified. But Vishwamitra was so powerful that he protected him from even the demigods. So the principle that the purpose of dharma is to award protection to the surrendered soul. The surrendered soul performs his dharma for the purpose of being protected. And the very important principle is that one performs his dharma and one surrenders himself unto a person who is qualified to award such protection. This principle is taught by the Ramayana. Of course, Vishwamitra was capable of giving one heavenly enjoyment. Vishwamitra was capable of protecting one from the influence of the demigods. But only Bhagavan is capable of giving one protection from repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, giving one the boon of bhakti. So the ultimate person whom which we should offer our surrender and whom we should perform our dharma for their satisfaction is only Bhagavan. Number 4. Valmiki points out that while surrendering to the Supreme Lord, one must first surrender to his consort. One must first go through his devotees. Specifically, we're talking about Lakshmi Devi, consort of the Lord, Sita. Very important point that we go through the devotees in order to get to the Lord. And by the mercy of the devotees, they are given access to service to the Lord. And even then, the mercy which is bestowed upon by the Lord is only done so because of the approval of such devotees. The devotees recommend, yes, this person is qualified to receive your mercy, kindly give them your mercy. Very important point. Number 5, Bharata. Surrendered into Ram. Oh, I see. Uh-huh. So Bharata is an example of one who has surrendered unto Lord Rama. Bharat wanted Ram to occupy the throne. He did not want to occupy the throne. He wanted Ram to come back to Ayodhya. He did not want to accept this responsibility because he knew that Ram was the only one who was qualified. And apparently, Lord Rama did not fulfill his desire. But this, one of the teachings of Ramayana in regard to surrender to the Lord is that the Lord always fulfills the desires of those who surrender unto him. So therefore, Rama gave him his padukas, his sandals, and which were placed on the throne and worshipped. And like this, Bharat ruled Ayodhya as a representative of Lord Ram, who was the actual ruler of Ayodhya. With this understanding, Bharat, the servant of Rama, his desire was fulfilled. Number 6, at Dandakaranya, the residents of that forest surrendered unto Rama so that he would destroy their evil opponents. The opponents of their spiritual practices were killed by Rama, and this is why they surrendered to Ram, so that he would take away all of the obstacles in the execution of their spiritual practices. And another one of these teachings is that those who reside in the territory of the Supreme are naturally surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Those who reside in the territory of Lord Rama have surrendered to him and have accepted his protection. Therefore, one who is residing in the temple of the Lord, one who is residing in a holy place, one who has made it, this is a sign of surrender to the Lord. Just simply living in the place of the Lord, this is surrender to the Lord, because this means that we accept the Lord as our protector and that we only take shelter of him to remove all of the obstacles which might come in the way of our spiritual practice. It's not that we worship Ram and then we worship Ganesh to take away our obstacles. Ram is able to do all of these things. There's no need to worship Ganesh. There's no need to worship Ganesh separately. We also worship Ganesh as being a great devotee of Ram, Krishna, Narasimha. Number 7. While describing the incident of the crow who had bitten Sita and whom Ram had hurled a Brahmastra, the sage shows that simply offering obeisances unto the Lord in full submission is surrender unto him. Everyone knows this story. One crow who was actually Indra's son. It was Indra's son. Huh? Yes? He came and was causing trouble to Sita. And so much so that some blood came. This story is told in the Sundarakanda. Whenever Sita tells Hanuman, he tells this story. Says, recite this story to Lord Rama, and he will know that you actually met me, and that it is actually me, because only me and him know about this story. This story was recited in Sundarakanda. This crow, upon Lord Rama saying that he was causing trouble to his consort, he picks a blade of grass or something and surcharges it with the power of mantra, turns it into Brahmastra, shoots it at the crow. The crow is running, and the only thing that can save the crow is when he comes back and offers full obeisances to Ram and Sita. In which case he is saved from being killed by the Brahmastra, but Ramachandra explains that this Brahmastra has to go somewhere, so you choose where do you want it to go, and it was directed towards his eye, so that crow went blind in one eye. Understanding is that even if we commit some offenses, the solution is by offering full submission unto the Lord, by surrendering to the Lord, we can become free. But still, we see in this case of the crow that even still there may be some level of reaction, but that reaction is completely tuned down to something very insignificant. Srila Prabhupada also taught like this, that even devotees, they might experience some kind of reaction, but the devotee thinks that actually I deserve so much worse, and the Lord is protecting me from the reaction which I actually deserve. For instance, you might what's a good example? You might stub your toe on the wall, you might hit your toe and hurt your toe, and this hurts very much. But in actuality, you deserve to have your whole leg chopped off or something like this. Some example. So by surrender to the Lord, we can be protected from reactions. Number 8, when Sugriva had offended Lord Rama by not searching for Sita after Vali was killed, surrender is again described as joining one's palms in supplication and sincerity. Everyone knows this. Sugriva promised that, so Sugriva was saved, actually. Vali was more powerful. He was definitely qualified to kill Sugriva. Ram and Lakshman saved him, established him as the ruler of Kishkindia. And very soon, Sugriva forgot the deal that he made with Lord Rama, that he would go and search along with his monkey army, he would go and search for Sita Devi. But being intoxicated by all of the kingly riches and fleshy delights like women and liquor and wine and food, he forgot the purpose of life. Lord Rama was patiently waiting. Lakshmana was not happy. He could not tolerate, so he went and reminded him very forcefully. And then whenever he came to his senses, this is how he approached Lord Rama. So just simply by offering pranam like this, this is an aspect of surrender. Joining one's palms in supplication, seeking forgiveness, like this. It's not just that we go like this. The attitude has to be there. But this is one aspect of surrender. Number 9, the story. Valmiki informs us through the following words of Sita Devi that surrender unto the Supreme Lord means being favorably disposed to him in disposition and submission. And the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we hear of different rasas that we can experience in relationship to the Lord. Some of that is anger, wrath, disgust. There's a few others. These are secondary rasas. We have the 5 primary rasas, and we have seven secondary rasas, 12 in total. So it's described that Kamsa was fully Krishna conscious. You might be thinking, what? He's a demon. Kamsa was fully Krishna conscious. He was always thinking about Krishna, but he was always thinking about Krishna in an unfavorable way. Therefore, he was not counted as one of the devotees of Krishna, and therefore he did not receive the ultimate fruit of being Krishna conscious, which is becoming a devotee of Krishna and eternally serving him in the spiritual world. Kamsa was given impersonal liberation. Still, liberation was there. He was Krishna conscious. Still, some liberation came, but he did not become favorably disposed towards him in submission. This is a very important point, that our submission to Lord Rama must be favorable. It must be in a mood of submission and also in a mood of service. So, an important point there. Valmiki also points out that before surrendering to the Lord, one should abandon association of such persons who avoid surrender to the Lord. What is that? Asat sangi tyag, Vaishnavachar. The behavior, the intrinsic behavior of a Vaishnava is that he renounces the bad association. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very happy seeing this from his devotees. So before embarking on this path of surrender to the Supreme Lord, one should first of all give up his association with those who are not inclined to surrender to the Lord. A good example of this is, anybody want to guess? A good example of one who abandoned bad association to surrender to the Lord in Ramayana? Yes, Vibhishana. Very, very good example. Ravana's own brother abandoned his brother. Previously, Vibhishana helped Ravana in so many ways, so much so that he was actually instrumental in Ravana getting Lanka. This is described later on in the what is that? Uttarakanda. Vibhishana was always there, helping Ravana, performing his austerities. Ravana would perform austerities. Vibhishana would serve him and provide everything that he needed. He would help in his yajnas. He would help in all sorts of different ways. But when it came to, after Ravana stole Sita, and after Ravana was proposing to fight with Rama, Vibhishana said, no, this is too much. So he surrendered to Lord Rama. And this famous verse is there. What is that? Hold on, I have it. Famous verse from Valmiki Ramayana. And in which the Lord says, this is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sakrid eva prapanno yas tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamye tad vratam mama. You might not know the Sanskrit shloka, but you probably have heard its meaning, which is Lord Rama saying that it is my vow that if one has once said to me, seriously, surrendering unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award such courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. Lord Rama promises that one, having once approached him in a mood of surrender, begging him for protection, he promises that he will always protect that person for the rest of all time. So this was spoken to the Vanaras, headed by Sugriva, Hanuman. Even Lakshman was not inclined to accept Vibhishana. He said, no, he's trying to trick us. This is one of Ravana's men. But Rama said, no, he offered himself in submission to me. Therefore, I must give him protection. It is my promise to everyone for all time that anyone who approaches me like this, I will give them protection. Lord Rama himself exhibited this aspect of surrender in himself exhibiting surrender to the presiding deity of the ocean whenever he was going to cross over. Lord Rama approached Varuna in a mood of surrender, saying, you are the presiding deity of this ocean, you please let us pass. Whenever yes, I think we know the story that whenever Varuna was not complying with Lord Rama, then he forcefully made him comply, exhibiting his superiority to him. Okay. Next, Valmiki. Trijata. Another aspect of surrender was taught in this case of the Rakshasis, who were sent by Ravana to terrorize Sita in the Ashoka Grove there in Lanka. One of those Rakshasis, Trijata, who was the sister of Ravana, I believe. Daughter of Vibhishan, yes, right. Daughter of Vibhishana. She chastised the rest of the Rakshasis, saying, no, why are we giving her a hard time? And yes, rather she advised them that actually we should take shelter of Sita and Rama, because she alone will be able to protect the Rakshasis from what is soon to come, this war that is soon to come. Sita is qualified to protect them. So why are you chastising her? She is the one who's qualified to protect us, therefore we should surrender unto her. It's another aspect. Okay. So whenever Vibhishana surrendered unto Lord Rama, automatically the servants of Vibhishana and those who are associated with Vibhishana automatically were also protected by Lord Rama. Therefore, the teaching is there that even if one who surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, even his relatives who are favorable to him and his associates who are favorable to him, they also receive the benefit of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. The key there is that they must be favorable to him. Ravana was also a relative of Vibhishana, but he was not favorable to him. So those who were favorable to him, his family members and his servants who were still favorable to him, they also were protected by the Lord. And the last one, the last point is that the Govindaraj is just explaining that these are just a few of the instances in Ramayana, and there's also many more which we can learn the process of Sharanagati from studying Ramayana. So we only covered the first two aspects out of 17. If you're interested in learning more about these in a much more in-depth way, Vishnu Chitta Prabhu, Krishna Life Atlanta has given a seminar on all of these. I don't know how many parts, at least maybe 15 parts, something like that, maybe less, I don't know. Where he talks about all these things in detail, all the different pastimes, all the different philosophical points. Everything is there. So that's on YouTube somewhere. And you can go and listen to that. More. I had notes on this and I wish I could find them. But anyways, does anybody remember the first 3 points of the cardinal teachings of Ramayana? I know we talked about a lot of things, but only 3 points are there. So first was that the purpose of Ramayana is to fulfill the purpose of Vedanta. Ramayana and Vedanta are same, ultimately coming to this understanding. And teachings of Ramayana. Yes. Oh yeah, we didn't even get to the third point. But yeah, you're also right. But the central point is that Ramayana is considered to be Shastra, and we should take it as such. And Shastra is meant to come to the point of understanding that Krishna is to be worshipped. With that being said, we must understand that Lord Rama is Krishna, is Vishnu, is Narayana. All these things are there. So, but the central point is that we must understand that the essence of all of the teachings of Ramayana are meant to accomplish the same purpose as all of the other Vedas. Vedaischa sarve rahameva vedyaha. Okay, so those are just the first two. And yeah, any questions? We'll over time. Any questions? No?
जैसे सुंदरकांड में जो सुंदर से बाल कांड में हम समझ सकते हैं कि भगवान की बाल कांड चल रहे हैं तो सुंदरकांड को सुंदरकांड क्यों बोला जाता है और वाल्मीकि रामायण और इसमें देखिए तुलसीदास के रामायण में तो उत्तरकांड और उसमें लंका कांड है तो उसमें वाल्मीकि रामायण और उसको लंका कांड करते हैं और सुंदरकांड में हम सुंदरकांड ही इसको क्यों बोलते
and Balkand, the childhood pastimes of Lord Arjun, so it's called Balkand. But why Sundarkand is called Sundar?
Why is it called Sundar?
It's beautiful. And another question that in Valmiki Ramayana, it's given Uttarkand. But in Tulsidas Ramayana, Uttarkand, why it's not given? It's changed into Lankakand.
Ask why this, why that about Shastra. It's not up to us to decide why Valmiki does like this. One important consideration is that Sundarkand is such a beautiful, it's very relishable for devotees to hear this Sundarkand because this is the beginning of Sita coming back to Rama. And this is the victory of Hanuman is that he found Sita. We can take inspiration in our service that we work very hard like Hanuman we accomplish our goal like this. We receive the mercy of Sita, of Rama. Very beautiful. Also, there's very beautiful poetry in the Sundarakand where Hanuman and Sita both recite very beautiful um, poetry, actually. Like this song that Hanuman sings to reveal that he is a servant of Lord Rama so that she will trust him. And also Sita Devi telling. So very beautiful. Uttarakhand, I don't know, very beautiful. This Uttarakhand, why is it different from Tulsidas's Ramacharita Because Ramacharita is different from Valmiki Ramayana. It is not Ramayana. This must be understood actually. This Ramacharita is not Ramayana. It has been misunderstood, and many people call this also as Ramayana. But the very name of this book suggests that this is the stories of Rama as imagined by Tulsidas. In his mind, this is what he is seeing, and he's making some poetry like this. Very beautiful work, very poetic. Srila Prabhupada had some appreciation for Tulsidas, no doubt. But Srila Prabhupada said that we do not accept this Ramcharita as authoritative Shastra. Very important to understand that. Srila Prabhupada said that this Ramcharita was in some cases mixed with impersonalism, Mayavad impersonalism, and the general parampara coming in that line has been contaminated in different ways. So we, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, do not accept Ramacharita as authoritative Shastra. That doesn't mean that we reject that devotees of Rama can speak about their realization of Rama. There's nothing wrong in that. Tulsidas himself did not claim that this Ramacharita is meant to be non-different from Shastra. This is just his poetic rendition of the pastimes and stories of Lord Rama and his own feelings about it. So very beautiful poetry is there and beautiful stories are there, but this is not Ramayana. This is not the authoritative Shastra. So we do not accept it as authority. I know you weren't asking that, but with that being said, I don't know much about Ramcharita. I don't know why he called it Lanka Kanda. So, but yes, just so that's clear among all devotees, I guess it's clear for everyone. Yes. There's yes, I've noticed that the influence of these Ramanandis is coming up, I think. Is it? Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
Yes. Ramanandis are coming up. They've always been very popular. They've always been very popular. Even during Prabhupada's time, the Ramcharita was arguably more popular than Valmiki Ramayana because it's more accessible. Hindi language, not Hindi language. What's the language? Avadi. Basically Hindi. And now it's compiled in basic Hindi for everyone to read and very accessible, very relishable, very entertaining, very beautiful. These things are nice, but the Shastra that we accept as far as the recorded history of Rama is Valmiki Ramayana. And also Srimad Bhagavatam gives. Okay. Any other questions?
Sometimes people say that Tulsidas, in front of the Tulsidas, God appeared.
Tulsidas had darshan of Rama, and that's why he was able to say these things. Yeah, maybe it's true. I'm not sure. How can we understand? There's even quotes. Srila Prabhupada said that Tulsidas was a great devotee of Rama. There's even quotes like that. Nobody's arguing that there's definitely much realization of Lord Rama in his work. Very beautiful, very amazing. A very special personality is one who can write this Ramcharita. Such a big work, such beautiful work, such nice presentation of the pastimes of Lord Rama. There's no doubt about it. And he himself was highly detached from materialistic life. Does anyone know the story of his wife? He left his wife behind. He's the one that spoke this. In the day, she's a witch. In the night, she's a tigress, sucking blood. Or in the day, she's a tigress. Night, she's a witch. Something. What is that, Hindi? Yeah. So he's the one that wrote this. This is from Ramcharitamanas. This is from. Yeah, similar. Very similar. Same thing. Bilva Mangal Thakur had darshan of the Lord. I don't know so much about the life and the teachings of Tulsidas. All I know is that Prabhupada said that we do not accept as authority.
But he is the great devotee of Lord. How we can write about the person?
Well, how did Ved Vyas write so much about Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda? So how did he write so many Vedic Shastras that are completely, very easily misinterpreted to be Mayavad? He also did, even Bhagavatam itself. There are certain shlokas in Bhagavatam, if we don't have Prabhupada's purports and translations, very easily we can misinterpret it to be Mayavad. Very, very easily. Even in Bhagavatam itself. What to speak of other Vedic Shastra, like Upanishads. These are also compiled by Ved Vyas. He's the greatest devotee. So misinterpretation may be there. Tulsidas might not be a Mayavadi, but his work is definitely misinterpreted. Definitely 100%. His modern day followers are definitely not pure devotees. 100%. So
At that time, Mayavad was very big qualitative. Like in some was like Mayavad.
to attract Mayavadis or something.
Not
He was influenced by Mayavad.
influenced, but
Must protest.
he had to protect himself because Mayavadi was
Oh, because if he was only writing about bhakti, then they would argue with him. These things might be true. I don't know. I have actually been, because anyways, I've dealt here with certain devotees coming to Krishna consciousness who have these attachments, Ramanandi attachments. And I've also done a lot of research. What did Prabhupada say about these things? How do we understand these things? There's not a lot of information there. So I also, there's a lot that needs to be clarified. I was thinking of writing an email to Guru Maharaj about this. But yeah, misinterpretation is what it seems is the most thing. But still, even then, Ramcharitamanas is not considered to be Shastra on the same level as all these other. Still, we should give respect, and he's a sadhu, detestful for material life, material sense gratification. Anyone who is detestful of material sense gratification is honorable. Even these Mayavadis, they're more strictly following the principles of brahmacharya than any of our ISKCON brahmacharis. Because of that, very honorable people. Srila Prabhupada always gave respect to such people. So at least on that merit, we can give respect.
Prabhupada said like that you have to be devotee.
Uh,
But Prabhupada said that Tulsidas was a Mayavad.
I don't think Prabhupada ever said that he's a Mayavadi.
He said
He said that there are some aspects of his work which seem to have some tinge of Mayavad, but he never said that he's a Mayavadi.
But he said Prabhupada said like this, he's a devotee.
Yeah, Prabhupada said like this. He wrote it. It wasn't just that Prabhupada said it, he wrote it. There's one purport where Prabhupada introduces, he says, there's one great devotee of Lord Rama named Tulsidas who says like this. I mean, he quotes the thing from Ramcharitamanas. On one, I think it was Janmashtami actually, in Montreal, Srila Prabhupada gave an entire class on one verse from Ramcharitamanas. And he spoke about pure devotional service according to the principles taught in Ramcharitamanas.
You can understand from this that maybe some situation, because of some situation, he write like Mayavadi.
Yes, we don't know why, we don't know how. Srila Prabhupada gave respect, we also give respect, but we do not accept as authority.
I have later provided.
Uh,
The Ramcharitmanas by Goswami Tulsidas is not very authorized, and Ramayana is authorized. One thing is though, you have got enough other books to study. If you appear in examination held on Janmashtami, why should you go to Ramayana when you have got Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and teachings of Lord Chaitanya? Don't divert your attention in that way. Goswami Tulsidas has the taint of Mayavadi philosophy. He belongs to Ramanand Sampradaya. They are mixed with combination of personalist and impersonal. That's the author is not Vaishnav. Later to Laktara, September 6, 1960.
so there it is. How are they mixed with Mayavad? I don't know all the instances. I just trust what Prabhupada is saying. And we can behave with that. We can act according to that knowledge, knowing that this is not authorized. But if we want to preach against these things, understand everything in full, then some research has to be done. But how are they deviant? What is the history of this? They claim that they're coming from Ramanujacharya. They claim to be Sri Vaishnavas. Whenever they see that Prabhupada is writing that there are 4 bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas, they say, oh yes, see, this is us, the Sri Vaishnavas. I've heard it. I've seen it. They're claiming like this. Yeah, similar to the Ramanujas. But the followers of Ramanuja do not accept the Ramanandis. They do not accept. And anyways, it seems that all manifestations of what were originally pure Vaishnava Sampradayas in North India in the modern day have been completely contaminated with Sahajiyavad and Mayavad. That's just what I've seen. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can reach this and save these people. Authorized teaching of Ramayana. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.